Why this book? Why now?
Well, this book is really the book that I wanted when I first started organizing 20 years ago. And you're absolutely right. It couldn't be more timely. Our country is at a crossroads, and it is being shaped by the largest protest movement in history. And there's so many people out there who are looking around them and saying, how did things get like this and what can I do about it? And this book really helps us figure out what's our role, right? And how do we get in our lane and play our position very, very well. And don't worry, it's not a how-to. I actually use my own experiences, my own learnings, and my own musings to help you think through how you can be the strongest part of a movement that can change the country and the world.
You know, when I think of the purpose of power, I think of this phrase that I've heard over the years of somebody saying, don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are. Um, what's a moment in your life that you had to wait a minute, you had to pause and say, hold up, I have to remember who I am?
Oh, wow, that is such a good question. You know, I would say that one recent moment actually was right when President-elect Joe Biden was declared the winner of the primary. And my sisters and I, Sunny Hostin and Angela Rye and Amanda Seals and Tiffany Cross and Brittany Packnett Cunningham, all these sisters who got together, and Latasha Brown from Black Voters Matter. There was
I
a
love
bunch
her.
of us who got, she's
I love
amazing.
all of Latasha. She can sing. She's the
Yes, you
best.
can sing. There was a bunch of us who got together who wanted to clarify that it was important that since Black voters are not only the backbone of the Democratic Party, but really the backbone of what it takes to save democracy in this country, that it was important for Joe Biden, who was then a candidate, to really address and respond to the needs that Black communities are facing. We said that it was important for Joe Biden to commit to appointing a Black woman to the Supreme Court, and we know where that went. We said it was important for Joe Biden to adopt a comprehensive Black agenda like the one that we developed at the Black to the Future Action Fund. And we also said that it was important for him to select a Black woman as his vice president. And, you know, after we put that op-ed out in the Washington Post, we got a lot of pushback. And there were a lot of people who were saying to me, you know, you're gonna make it so that we don't get anything. And, you know, it's really easy sometimes when people offer you critiques to just like deeply internalize them and feel like, you know, gosh, what am I doing? Did we push too hard? Did we do the wrong thing? But there is something that Latasha reminds me of all the time, which is faith in our convictions. And, you know, change is not comfortable. And, you know, making progress is not comfortable. And at a certain point, we have to stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's only when we have the courage to be bold and audacious that we get the things that we need and deserve. And so that's a moment where I really had to say, you know, you need to be true to yourself. I could have minced words. I could have not participated. I could have retracted my statements and tried to make them softer. But at the end of the day, it was absolutely the right move. And so that's a moment that I can remember that I'm really proud of, that we continue to push forward.
What's so great about that story is that it's not only about you remembering who you are and knowing the purpose of your power, it's a collective. You
That's
know,
right.
so I mean, Angela Rye, Sunny Houston, Latasha Brown, like you said, it's a collective saying, wait a minute, this is important. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think, you know, Joe Biden is a good candidate, but I think the reason why we had that high Black voter turnout is because of a Black candidate on the ticket.
That's
And
right.
I will always say that. That's part of the incentive. And white voters always have incentives. They may not know it, but they have their incentives. So the second part of the title, how we come together when we fall apart. And so I know you don't feel this way, but I'm sure you've been hearing this out there. We have to heal. We have to hear the other side. You know, they're just Americans too. They voted for Trump, but you know, it's just the economy. I don't want to come together with that. I don't know how I could come together with that. I don't have any folks in my family who are Trump supporters. I don't have some big, some big, I'm not torn in between these two worlds of all these people, my friends. I don't have that kind of world. So how do we come together, Alicia, but not compromise our soul, not compromise our values, our heart, what we're fighting for? How do we come together in that way?
It's such a good question. You know, I'm a firm believer that we do need to come together, but we can't do that unless we tell the truth about why we fell apart in the first place. And the
Hmm.
thing about America is that it is founded on and is powered by a willful amnesia that deliberately obscures the reasons for why people are getting left out and getting left behind. And that includes Trump supporters and Trump voters, right? The story of Trump voters and supporters is complicated, but what's not complicated is this. So many of them are being mobilized by fear, by anxiety, and frankly, by racism. And unless we are going to tell the truth, and in a way that sure is compassionate, right? And that provides opportunity for three-dimensionality, but also that establishes what our floors are, then we're not going to get to reconciliation. And by floors, I mean our baseline values that we will not compromise on. And you're absolutely right. I think that it's too early, premature, to have a conversation about reconciliation when not only have we not been telling the truth about how we got here, but also at the end of the day, I think that assessment essentially kind of, it feels like we're in the politics of the 1990s, and we're not. The Republican Party of the 90s is not the Republican Party of today. And the Republican Party of today has made a deal with fascism, has made a deal with racism. They have embraced it. And they have said that no matter what, even if they don't agree with it, that they are going to use it in the pursuit of power and maintaining the status quo. And so we have to be honest about that. I've been saying for a very long time, not just through this election cycle, but the last several election cycles, when folks say, well, the Democrats, for example, do this whole thing where their strategy is to try to pursue voters who flip-flop back and forth between the parties. And I just say that's a silly story. There's not a lot of voters that are flip-flopping between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Most people who are voting in that direction are also very solid in their beliefs and in their values. And we have to tell the truth about that. But who we can be pursuing are the people who feel left out of politics altogether, the people who are left out and left behind, and who have everything at stake with all of these decisions that are being made. And that's really where I focus my time. I focus my time on making sure that our communities are powerful in the political process, but I also spend my time focusing on making sure that we transform the way that politics happens so that this dynamic doesn't happen to us again.
Yeah, I don't understand, Alicia, why we don't focus on our base. When I say we, I mean the Democratic side, our base, our base. And to be fair, there are a lot of up and coming young folks in the party, like Jamal Bowman. I'm so excited about him. I love Chevron Jones in Florida. I love Malcolm Kenyatta in Philly. So there are some up and coming folks who get that. But some of the old guard folks, I'm like, the Republican side, they don't focus on us. They ain't even try it. They'll throw out Lil Wayne, and that's their focus. you know, that's all that it is.